Hmm.
Alrighty, so I'd like to thank you for taking the time to do this interview, as this is starting to become a reoccurring series where I'm interviewing the Knights of Westmarch and hopefully introducing them to the rest of the populace. Westmarch is huge, and I want to help kind of create some bridges between the North and South, especially for these newer players to help learn about some of their knights. So, for those who don't know you, my guest today is Marquis Sir. And I think it's just Marquis Sir. I don't see any other custom titles in there. Azus. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Lord,
Oh,
be
well,
Sir,
Marquis,
Sir.
right?
Hmm?
Oh, I apologize. Okay, we're just gonna do all of them. Then yes, I have Marquis, Lord, Sir, squared,
Yeah.
and Azus,
Page.
and Master Owl, Master Rose.
Master Dragon.
Oh, I didn't realize it was both. Nice,
Master
fantastic.
Crown.
Oh, but you're only a double belt, right?
Yeah.
So, well,
Well,
hopefully we see.
we're getting some of the newer knights belted before we do the more of the doubles, triples.
That's totally fair. I actually recently on a Outer Kingdom trip finally met a 5 belt knight, which was I think I actually met two, which very rare to see out there. So we have Sir Azus, who is a longtime player of the game, and I think a great place to start is when and where did you start playing Amtgard? What kind of brought you into this game?
May 2006. I was working Sundays. A couple of friends of mine had found a webcomic that discussed LARPs. They found the Wyvernsburg group online. Uh, they went to the park. They couldn't find the group. They came and buzzed me at work and said, "Help us find them." And the next week, I tagged along with them. Um, the meeting place was right next to the road, and this was a common issue where people couldn't find what was in plain sight. So half the time, most of the park was off in under the trees. So,
This is at the old
but
location.
even when this was at the old, I think that's enough old. This was down at the Berkeley Marina.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For those who don't know, Wyvernspur has moved parks, I believe 3 or 4 times now. So we're currently up in the Richmond Marina, but yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good park.
started in a school. This predates me. Started at a school playground, I think, as Burning Gnome. Then Wyvernspur at the Berkeley Marina, up to Cornese's Park, and now Marina
Yeah.
Bay in Richmond.
I actually
So
didn't know we were I didn't know that there was a previous name. I only knew about the squirrels.
yeah.
Uh, but so you started playing from just some friends having you tag along. What kept you coming back? And 2006, almost 20 years later.
Yeah. Um, it's fun. It's fun. It's good exercise, and hey, the people are fun. Um, God, some of the names that are still around today were back then welcoming. We had Drats, we had Lady Bridget, um, and a number of other people who are like intermittent or have moved on to other stuff. Um,
Mhm.
Lee Mask, they were coming out then, and right,
Oh,
still regulars. Yeah. So our park has a lot of people who've been in 20, 30 years, in addition to people in for a few months.
that actually had no idea so many of the other players had been around for that long as well. But great to see, and I think for those who have listened to the other episodes, one of the recurring themes here is people. That's then the recurring theme is that the people are what keep everyone coming back. But those are really wonderful things. So there's a tradition if you don't if you don't select a name for yourself fast enough, at Wyvern Spur, the squirrels choose it for you. So what made you arrive on Sir Azus?
It was from my email. and my email, my first name, and then when picking one, it was going through all sorts of suggestions, and I finally found one that didn't suck. So AZ is middle and last initial, and US because the country. And my game name is just last four of my email. So,
Huh.
nothing
I
special.
No, but that's something I would have never put together on my own.
Right.
That's really funny. And I know you're part of a couple of groups here. I think one of them is more built around Wyvernspur, the House of Athena, and I saw that there are a couple others too. One I had never heard
Athena
of.
is old, and I think I'm the only member still playing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, I don't recognize any name in that. Okay, so then if not for that, I also see Clan Maccabee.
I Well, I'm not active in that group.
Okay, well,
And I'm not sure
uh,
how active the Maccabees are either. Well, I know one of them isn't active in Amtgard, period.
mhm.
I'm not
Well,
sure about Howland the Red. I haven't seen him for a spell.
mhm. Well, then, how about we talk about one of the most important companies that exist in Amtgard, serving a staple at every event, the Crimson Marauders. What got you into that group, and what kind of do the Crimson
Uh,
Marauders go for?
so Sir Uric, that was his company. Um, and since he's passed, a lot of people have noticed we're not quite as active as we used to be. But yeah, he invited me in many years ago. Uh, yeah, a lot of good people. His thing was, I mean, we're not really a service company, but we are. A lot of the players are people who, in one way or another, really make Amtgard exist.
Hmm.
So, and these days, yes, it is heavy on serving the burritos at events. But if you look at our members, like Klenaw has served how many terms in office? Uric was frequently in office. If he wasn't in office, he was giving people rides to events. Uh, Part of the reason he got a 15 passenger van was to help ferry people. Uh,
Wow.
the Beast. That thing was also some interesting stories in there.
I
Um, Not safe
that's
for work
incredible.
tables. Yeah. Um,
Well, that's fantastic. And if you haven't been to a Westmarch event, you need to go get the Crimson Raider burritos. It is full of all the things designed to slow you down on the field, and both heart and soul will feel happy and maybe a little
yeah.
hurt, but it's
Yeah.
it's a
Superior
wonderful event.
was very much one burrito should be there's leftovers on your plate. We
Yep,
have toned that down a little, but they're still big.
they are still very big, and it is always a wonderful time. So, after joining that's obviously getting into a fighting company or household. That's achievement all on its own. What was I don't know if you recall, but what was one of the first major goals you had set for yourself in Amtgard? Or maybe someone said you should go for this.
Myself, Brandon, Sita, because those are the two friends who brought me in. What got us excited in the rule book was the Master Hoods, the Master Owl,
Mm.
which took a while. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think after a point that just sort of fell to the wayside as a goal, and I just kept making stuff. Um, and then I suddenly realized, oh my God, I'm hitting 7, 8 levels. I actually should start thinking about some of this
Mm,
stuff.
got
Um,
it. So you
so
kind of fell in. So you fell into the. I'm just gonna craft stuff, and at over time you reached a point where like, oh, I'm high enough. Maybe I should actually put emphasis into this.
A little bit of emphasis. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know that I ever really chased it. And if I had, masterhood and knighthood would have come maybe 5 years earlier. Yeah.
I mean, and I think that is always a good achievement. So you had said Master Owl was the first major one for you. What do you know? What was that first, or what was the thing that you did to accomplish that? What was your, you recall what the Master Owl project was, or was it more of
I,
overall submission?
I think it was overall submission. Um,
Hmm.
the last interesting thing I did before the masterhood, um, Dame Elspeth was doing an Egyptian reigned theme, and she asked for Pharaoh's hook and flail. So, right, the flail, it's stylized, and um, 3 rows of beads, and I colored each bead based on the lands of Westmarch. The crook was, I forget what wood I did, but it was a laminate to get a good curve um in it. So incredibly light and pretty durable. And that was just testing new skills, learning new skills, new techniques,
Yeah.
which has been a lot of my projects over the time, is just picking up something new.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think
so I don't know.
I,
Yeah,
I was gonna say I think I remember that because that was around 2015, 2014 ish. That sound about right?
something like that.
Because I remember that was for the audience who I haven't talked to about myself. That's about when I first started playing, and I remember someone showing up, some person in like badass black armor was like, "Hey, you're gonna be an undead minion," and me being all of 15 was like, "Cool." And I didn't know what an anti-paladin. For those who don't know, anti-paladin used to have undead minion, and but I remember the Egyptian theme, and I saw someone that the monarch at the time, Elspeth, come in. Yeah, that's a fantastic, and I mean, it's obviously an accomplishment on its own. What do you think? And it seems like if you weren't actively pursuing it, it might not have been a roadblock or a barrier, but was there a challenge, an obstacle that you saw to getting that mastery, and what did you do to overcome that?
Um, Health issues.
Hmm.
Before I got that masterhood, I got diabetes, and getting my blood sugar regulated and the medications, I couldn't do much crafting. Like leatherwork, I couldn't hold tools steady. And
Wow.
standing to use a table saw, I could not keep myself steady, which meant
No
no
table saw.
big movement. So my crafting kind of not quite went on pause, but I hit a time where a lot of projects were just not possible.
Oh,
At which point, like, hey, Masterhood, I can't make anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the challenges, in many ways, thankfully, weren't built around anything within the game, but rather just things affecting you. Which,
Right.
I mean, that
I
does
mean,
happen.
I mean, Sword Knight Battlemaster, that's going to hit some of these people too, where, they start getting close and then the body starts falling apart.
Yeah. I could imagine that would be a unfortunate, difficult barrier to pretty much all the knighthoods. At some point, you might not be able to do it. And
Yeah.
you earned the Master Dragon. And you've won Dragon Master. So when was it? When did that switch happen to? I don't I don't want to just be a Dragon Master or a Master Owl. I want to be a Serpent Knight.
I don't know. When did I start getting, you know, 7, 8
Okay,
order?
so the
Yeah.
switch from Masterhood, or from, hey, I'm kind of high up, triggered both the Masterhood and the Knighthood path.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
at that point, I'd also served many offices and been a lot more involved Westmarch as a whole. So the stepping point from masterhood to knighthood, well, I've already got a lot of that. What makes a knight? Ask 10 people and you get 20 answers, right? But I had already gotten a lot of that stuff there.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm about to ask you that in a second there.
right.
Which yeah, I mean it's coming up in the conversation. Let's talk about that. What does knighthood in Amtgard mean to you?
Still haven't figured that one out. Which I think is true of a lot of knights. I mean, some years back, Torbjorn was a guild master of knights, and he challenged the knights to write down what knighthood meant to them. And as I recall, he did that to challenge the knights to make sure they're consistent in how they're choosing the next person and not playing favorites. Um, and I recently brought that idea up again, and actually getting answers from people is in writing is difficult. Um, but what is knighthood? I mean, in the game, the game is based on our fantasy and our lore in this country outside of Amtgard. And the knight in shining armor is, a mythology that rides with us. Um, but you want people who can communicate, can be the ambassador, can be the diplomat, who can be the mentor, who can inspire people to do their stuff. Obviously, not all of these because different people have different skills, and that's also a difficult one because we have a lot of neurodivergent people in this game, and half of what I just said keep some of those people out. And that's definitely a problem we've got. Um, how do you have
Yeah.
somebody who's going to be able to tone down conflicts and mentor people if they have trouble communicating because of how their brain works?
Right.
So,
And that's
which taking that into account, it's much harder to boil down what knighthood means. Um,
mhm.
but
Yeah. But that means that people are still trying, and I know that we continue to try to make this as open a game as possible. And obviously, there are paths for success for anyone, no matter what. I mean, obviously, even if we have diabetes, we're still able to achieve masterhood and eventual knighthood for all of those, which is
right,
great. Which is a great thing. And there is a community of people who will help you and support you to get to really anything. What would you consider the biggest barrier, the biggest goal, or the biggest challenge to crossing that finish line to get the white belt?
burnout.
Burnout.
If you're actively
Oh, hang on a second,
um,
Azus. I want to quickly pause that because it sounds like it cut out for a second. I just want to refresh the
oh,
dialogue here.
yeah,
So, biggest barrier to knighthood, you were saying, was burnout, and that was
yeah. So a couple of reasons. First off, getting that big push again, it's a lot of effort. And it is a thing where people get the belt and then they drop back or drop out. Um, if you're chasing the award system is not perfect. There's going to be times where someone else gets a higher award for a lesser project than what you did. And if you're actively chasing the award, actively chasing the belt, you're going to get burned out because of those glitches. Um, and even if they are fixed, it's fixed next reign, next year, couple of years. That one
yeah,
hurts. And the second part, I guess I just alluded to, is going to be we've got problems with the process. No matter how much we try, you can't quite codify for all the possibilities. Or if you
Yeah.
do, you've got a 200-page manual outlining all the paths, all the variations of paths, right? Crown
Yeah.
Knight, excellence as a leader. What does that mean? Does that mean the behind the scenes going through and just fixing paperwork? Well, nobody
Mhm.
sees that, but it's important.
Yeah.
Or is it running an, quest line
Yeah.
for your kingdom? Well, what is a great quest line versus one that sounds great and people are enthusiastic, but no one showed up for?
Yeah.
So,
It's
in Serpent Knights, we have problems where, like, someone might be really good at poetry. Well, a lot of people don't understand poetry. So, how are they going to get the deemed a master?
I
Um,
yeah, I've heard that, and I think I remember uh either can't remember who said it, but I remember someone was saying it's a challenge where they feel bad judging ANS because it's like, hey, I have a masterhood, but I only know leatherworking. I don't know how to judge, these other things. Like I can judge it based on, what I know is supposed to look good, but I don't know what this technique means in reference to this, and causes some problems for that. But and I remember actually in my conversation with Hal, he was saying that he only entered like one or two tournaments ever, and he because he didn't like the judging system, or maybe not didn't like, but wanted to keep it separate from the judging system. But yeah, I see that as it's definitely a challenge, and I'm sure people get really close, and just due to whatever situations are going on, that can cause some burnout. What?
and yeah, another system problem is the Circle of Knights. And there's been times in the past we had a very small circle and it like 5 or 6 active knights, and the bar was 2/3 or 3/4 yes vote of the active knights.
Mhm.
So if you have a personality conflict with a couple of the knights, you're not in.
Yeah, but
That's gotten better,
mhm.
but yeah.
And I was gonna say, I think you were referencing a different guildmaster. You were the most recent master, and I believe Thistledown is our current.
So Dissident is current, and I was before him, and then Sir Monkey, and then I forget.
Yeah,
Torbjorn is
the
going a
recent.
few years back. Hmm?
Hmm. But yeah, that's all recent memory. And
Yeah,
or I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I ever met. I don't know if I ever sat down with Torbjorn. Are they? Is he still active?
yeah. Last I
Hmm.
looked, or last I saw, he was active but working Sundays, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make
Working
it a little
him
challenging.
from home. I think that's true. I'm not sure, but that's also a few months ago.
Hmm. And you've been, and as we were saying, you have the master crown. You are a crown knight. You are a serpent knight. Hopefully the belt comes soon for the flame knight. What other goals do you have from here? I mean, hopefully soon. Currently a double belt. Hopefully a triple belt. Oh, I'm so sorry. We missed one of your titles earlier. Page.
And
Apologize for
Paige.
missing. Yes.
Yes, that one a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for those who don't know, Sir Azus, Sir Lord Marquis Azus was also recently paged because
today my
why not? Yeah,
yeah.
to Dame Atlantis, and I believe you squired Dame Atlantis.
Yeah, I wanted to make her a page, but she insisted on a promotion. Uh,
Fair enough.
2 levels there. Yeah, she's
But yeah,
also been in the game longer than me, so
sure. But yeah, what do you see for yourself from here in Amtgard?
um, on a personal matter, losing a little more weight. Um, I've dropped from 215 down to 185. So
Wow.
some of my old armor still, fits again. Um, but I want to be better at chasing down some of those teenagers while wearing 40 pounds of metal.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to do. I can make them run, but I can't catch up to them. And
Well,
then, yeah.
that's a good goal.
So,
That's a good goal. Being more active on the field, obviously.
the next crafting thing, I've made a few rings out of rock, turquoise, and then jasper. And I'm not happy with how they're coming out, so I want to do better stone rings. And then Westmarch wide, we as a group are stuck on Facebook, which is a horrible platform, and I want people. Facebook worked okay for discourse. We need our information on the Amtgard website, and it's been my backseat goal moving information there and getting more people thinking about that for information where it can be found, it can be sorted, it can be organized, it can be used for the world at large. We have a lot of people who are not on social media.
Yeah.
So that's my Westmarch goal is in some ways get us back to where we were 20 years ago in terms of information. And then social media is great for the chit chat, but event planning, it's horrible. So
And you had recently, and as we were just saying, you had recently taken on a squire. But what
I
is it
said
that
this
you?
where
Yeah, but what is it that you look for in? And I actually don't know too much of your history in this, but were you belted prior to your knighthood, or were you?
no,
So then what?
I
So what
started
is it
my
that
own.
you?
Mhm.
So what is it that you look for in taking on squires, pages, at arms, in a belted family, if anything?
I don't really look. People come to me, and depending how I'm feeling that year, I may or may not. So, who all have I belted? There was
Oh, Azuz,
as
I
a man
believe
at
you're cutting.
arms.
Azuz, I believe you cut out for a second there. I heard that you were saying, "Who have I belted?" and then you started trying to figure it out.
Who have I belted? Necromancer many years back.
Hmm.
Um, that for those of you who don't know him, a slightly obnoxious. God, how old was he? Have younger kids. We'd lose 3/4 of our members who had kids attached.
Hmm.
And since we had 5 or 6 adult members, that would have killed the park again. At which
Yeah.
point, a couple young ones show up. It's like, sure. So we had Necromancer. Um,
And that a squire or was that an at arms?
at arms. And he's disappeared.
Hmm.
Of course, this was also many years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, there's Squire Keon, who's moved to Utah. Um, they approached me and asked, and we chatted. And we've gotten along in the past, so it's like, yeah, sure. Um, I've had another person where I'm thinking about it, but I'm also thinking I'm tired. Work is weird, and I've got a 7-year-old kid who takes up a lot of energy. So my ability to properly knight people is difficult.
Yeah. And you've been playing for, again, almost 20 years now. What, in all your time, do you have perhaps, and it might be hard to do, but do you have a favorite memory of Amtgard? Not just of time?
There's a few. There's the old Darkshore site out at Mount Dana. Um,
Mm,
the fog creeping in, and a bunch of us from Witherspoon sitting around a table playing. I can't remember the name of the game, but basically a storytelling game where
mm,
you have cards that you can use to interrupt other people. Um,
mm.
and a goal. Everybody has a different goal on how they're going to end the story. Um, so if I have a card that says rabbit, and somebody else is telling the story, and their character happens to walk past a rabbit, I can play my card to interrupt, but now I have to make the rabbit central to the story. And since I've got a different ending, the story's going to go a very different direction.
Sounds chaotic.
And it is, and we're playing that among the redwood trees as the fog is rolling through. That
Yeah, that sounds like a great game. And
there
a
was
wonderful
sitting
time.
around a campfire, passing around booze. One of them being a coconut brought with this guy from Arizona, which had real absinthe in it. And someone had to point out to me my shoe was catching fire, in the fire pit. But sitting around and just chilling around the campfire is always fun.
That's good. And
Not alcohol not needed, but it can be nice.
I know that you're improving on your skills of 24 shoves and a healer and playing paladin and a bunch of other things. But do you have a favorite battle game that you like to play? Or a favorite, sorry, not a favorite memory from a battle game?
I mean, my favorite memory of a battle game, or one of them, I was just off to the side, long dead. It was a Feast of Mars game. 3 teams. One of them everyone thought was shattered out, and you've got the last 2 teams fighting. Up and yell against you and not your friend and take out half of one team. At which point, God, what happened? I don't remember. After a point, it doesn't matter. The important part is he got on his own. I miss the old Mount Dana's site for Darkshore. It had a bit of a ravine, and you'd have people stuck fighting in a ravine. Or you could sneak around and go off a distance to do sneaky backstabby stuff.
Well, that's. I mean, I've heard both good things and rough things about the old site. I was never able to get to that one, but
3
I've heard.
houses, 150 people is one of the rough things.
Yep, and I've heard that the steepness is a challenge, and I heard that there were holes, and we're making progress. We're getting things back. So
Yeah.
and I have sworn that you had had been promoted recently out. I thought you had. I thought they gave you the one past Marquis, but maybe I had that mixed up with someone else. So we've described what knighthood is, when you started pushing for it. What made or maybe if there wasn't a barrier, but what was the challenge going from Master Owl, Master Dragon? Not that those are the same thing, but they are in the same belt. When did Master Crown start to become a realistic and kind of an actual goal for you? And Knight of Crown.
I don't know that it was an actual goal. It was, I had already served 6 terms as Kingdom Prime Minister and done a pretty good job at that. Yeah. And then when they came out with the crowns system, they took a look. I'd done local prime minister, I don't know how many terms. Approximately 10 terms with 1/2 break. And kingdom multiple times, and multiple other local positions, and kingdom board of directors for many years, and like they came out with a crown point system, and oops, there's a 10th crown, and masterhood soon after. So I never really chased it. The old
And
system was, oh, 2 terms of as king, 4 terms as kingdom prime minister, or 6 at a duchy level. With excellence, what does with excellence mean?
Mhm.
So they tried to make that a little better and a little less nebulous.
we still don't have the point system, do we? They changed it again.
I've lost track of what it is now.
Okay. Uh, I think from what I've seen at least is if the and again, Wyvern Spur's a duchy, so we can give up the pretty high level awards. But if you do a good job and everyone's happy, they usually give you the next level. At least from what I've seen, we haven't gotten too many people pushing masterhood. At least what I've seen at the local level. That's good.
Not many. I mean, I think Mike Zilla did it. I think.
Hmm.
Oh, was it Scoot? I want
Hmm.
to say someone um down south. There's been a couple of people where it's been local level only, but local level pretty much always in office. And if they're not in
Mm,
office, they're helping the people who are in office. Uh,
got it. No, that makes sense.
but
Yeah.
the default, at least the old standard, was absolutely kingdom, maybe duchy, and that's still one of the viewpoints. Um,
The
that is one of
standards,
the things the circles now, or at least individual, an impact kingdom wide more than as well as local.
hmm but I mean, yeah, and I think that's an ongoing discussion as typically standards over time rise. So what might have once
Mm.
been a really cool trebuchet might be someone's first owl nowadays. Okay, that might be an exaggeration. Uh, Speaking of, do you know? Uh, and I know that you're busy between work, 7-year-old, and many other tasks. But do you know when we'll get to see the trebuchet back out at Darkshore?
When I actually meet up with Zion, who has a big hunk of oak that'll replace my current arm that's made out of construction grade lumber, which is proving to be not strong enough forces involved.
Which is,
Um,
if you haven't talked to or seen Azuz's trebuchet, it's not full size, but it's a what 2 scale, 1/2, 1/3 to size.
it is 8 foot high at the axle. It takes 300 pounds in the counterweight.
It's a
Historically, they want 3,000 pounds in the counterweight, so that side is a little small. They were
mhm,
also throwing actual rock instead of foam.
yeah.
So
But if you have never stood across the battlefield and see a trebuchet launch a series of foam rocks at you, come to Darkshore at some point, and you'll see you see the joys of that. But I've kind of covered everything I was really hoping to go over with Sir Zeus today, and I'm hoping to that this conversation leads to more people coming up to that grumpy old Sir Zeus and seeing if we can get more people to talk to him and other knights. So I really appreciate Marquis Lords, Sir Squared, Master Owl, Master Rose, Master Dragon, Master Crown, Zeus out to the battle, out to this conversation today. And if you have any questions for him, I am sure he's happy to respond. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. And thank you so much for your time today.